Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Good morning.
Oh yeah, talking about backtesting, talking about running the trades. Good to see you guys.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm very familiar with what's
Macho
his
Man.
Yeah, Macho Man. You got a good one. You're on.
I appreciate it. I listened to a lot of Macho Man, and he wasn't my favorite wrestler, but one of the greatest ad readers of all time. You know, snapping to Slim Jim. Like, as far as like cutting a promo, that man could cut a promo greater than anything I've ever seen in my life.
Would you say Hulk? Now, with all respect to Hulk Hogan,
all due respect,
say that he copied Macho a little bit of his when Hulk would get like close to a camera?
No, I think they're synonymous. Are they
the same era? So one's not old. It's not like Macho Man's older, right?
Maybe he'd be a little bit older, but I mean, they were about the same era. I mean, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan tagged up to create a tag team duo called the Mega Powers.
Are you serious? I forgot about the Mega Powers.
And it was probably the greatest tag team group of all time.
I can't even imagine.
Their promos. Listen, we got shut down one time because I shared it. I'm not going to share it again, but WWE was real fast to cut us out on that one. They have a promo they do together about the Mega Powers, and it's one of the greatest media presentations I've ever seen.
I can't even imagine those, and they kind of feed off each other, so it's just like they work each other up to a frenzy. Yeah.
Speaking of feeding off each other, this dog got sprayed by a skunk 2 days ago, and after multiple baths, he still smells like a skunk. So
still.
Yeah, that skunk smell is a very distinct smell, and
Troy.
It was so bad that Troy. It was so bad that it took Troy out and he went away.
The smell is
back test.
The smell was. I passed out for a second. I hit the disconnect button.
Yeah.
Anyway, good to see you guys. Markets are not in turmoil.
Absolutely not.
I mean, what are we up 20 something in futures?
Yeah, 26 points. And again,
when are we going to talk about Wednesdays this year?
Yesterday.
When are we going to talk about it?
Let's talk about today. Matt, what do you have some thoughts about Wednesdays?
I mean, I can just jimmy up a back test here real quick. That'll probably
illustrate
my thoughts, but
jimmy it up.
I mean, it feels like Wednesdays in the last few days last few weeks, few months haven't been great to go long, have they?
Matt, is Wednesdays the new Thursdays?
No, I don't think Thursdays are volatile. I think Wednesdays just may be, I don't know. They just may be in a depression here. Let me just do a little back test here.
You know who we need to talk to about that? Who would actually have some data for us to look at? Is a good friend of ours, a friend of the show, Eric from Alpha Crunching.
That is true. This is what he does. Yeah, I mean, yes.
So he can look and see how many Wednesdays have been down, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he has some proprietary data that kind of forecasts based on previous stuff. And
I mean, listen, selling an ad, like, guys, this is a trend, right? Like this is not even a trend. But if you just sell an at the money call spread Wednesday at open, 10 wide, 5 out of 6 times it's won. So just a short-term thing, that Wednesdays, hey, it's a little dumpy. Nothing magical. But I mean, if you run that back a lot farther than 6 weeks, you'll see that that's more of a recent thing, just kind of interesting.
So you're saying go all in every Wednesday.
I'm not saying go all in. And listen, but it does this. There was a period last year where there were like 2 months in a row when Wednesday just wouldn't go up.
You know, Matt, what I'd love to see is if you did a Wednesday
seasonality,
take that Wednesday theory, go over the last year, year and a half. I bet you even maybe with a tweak of saying, okay, what time did you enter the trade on Wednesday?
Listen, this isn't even a trade. This is not even advanced enough to be a trade. It's just a 10 wide.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying, I bet you if you did a 10 wide, because you think of the last year, how many days, you couldn't count them, are we up? So maybe if you added that and said, okay, I'll do it every Wednesday, but I'll sell it maybe when we're up 30.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right, Dan. If I was going to do something like this, I'd probably tie it to an orb or do it later in the day, an upside condition or something like that. And maybe actually, again, this is literally, I just went into the tester and in 2 seconds sold the 10 wide Wednesdays year to date, and 5 out of 6 times it's won. So I just have noticed it. You know, I've got some people that follow the Astro, and they're all down. They're all down on Wednesdays, you know.
Oh,
so let's see. What was yesterday like? Yesterday was another down day. Yeah. I mean, it was down quite a bit at one point. No,
yesterday was
pretty ugly, right?
No, yesterday was, am I correct? Yesterday started up, right?
Yeah.
And then it just gave it all back. So we ended up.
Yeah. I mean, we opened at 76, but immediately pumped up to 93.
Yeah. And
then we sold off 80 points. So the real options play would be to do exactly what you just said, Dan, is do something on a big move up, maybe go pretty long out of the money.
Short, you mean?
So yeah. Yeah, so that you know, we got a world-class backtest. You could play around. Maybe that's some ideas for somebody. If you run with this idea, send us some backtest. Post them in the Discord.
Well, and that's where I think like Steve is good at you know, it's just he gives hope to us who are not good at technical, Steve, with navigation, where you'll look at like, you know, he's am I correct? I mean, not that he doesn't understand a lot. He understands all the technicals. But he's using, okay, here's where the price, the high was yesterday or the low, kind of market profile. Troy, hey, can we get a quick market profile? Is that possible?
Dan, usually, absolutely it would be possible. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, my internet's not working on anything else except for what we're talking.
I'm talking. You're live. Right, you're live.
And
that's what. Like, I can't load any web pages. It's crazy. So, in fact, let me go kick a box real quick.
Yeah.
And I'll be right back.
All right.
I'm gonna let you just stare at the dog real quick. So just give me 1 second. I'm gonna kick the box.
All right.
Listen. Goodbye, Troy.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, can I ask you on the Norb? I'm really like the new Norb feature.
Yes.
It's very, let me just say this. It's, you and I can talk and get some attention maybe from the viewers, but when you put the dog there, we've lost all control.
I was just going to say, should I hide the dog?
Yeah, no, hide the dog. Hide the
so
dog.
Confused.
I love it.
So confused. Show a back test, hide the dog, pretend like we're deep in the middle of this back test.
Yeah.
Troy comes back. What's happening? It didn't work.
How long have you had the Norb? Would you say?
Just a couple weeks. It's brand new.
That is I mean, for range bound, it's just such a neat feature.
Yep. And I think as the famous quote, "I have not yet begun to fight," goes, there's an equally famous quote in the OO community. "I have barely used this brand new backtesting feature that's been out for a couple weeks, and I haven't had time to backtest it yet." And I would say that as far as catchiness goes, that is almost as catchy as "I have not yet begun to fight." And so, see, there's people in the chat who are like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." Here's what I'm talking about. OO has 4 ways to test an opening range breakout now. There's a high, a low, high or low, and a no breakout. And the no breakout, Joseph, is a no opening range breakout. Hence, Norb.
Where'd my dog go?
Then he walked off screen and we took him off screen. And it's true. It's true. Dan saw him walk away. You were gone. He went to go check you out. He went to go bring his skunked self over to you. But here's the deal with the Norb. It allows you to, it's a different way of testing a range bound. So it's pretty interesting because you can take a lot of theses with it. So you could do it like later in the day, set a big range, and say, we're not going to break out. Or you could do it like later in the day, set a range and be like, oh yeah, we're definitely breaking out. And so when you think about all the long condors, short condors, flies, even calendars, there's a lot of things you can do with the Norb. So Dan and I showed it the other day.
Yeah.
I can't remember which show that was on. And if you're wondering, Matt, why are you talking about shows? Just a reminder that we have 5 YouTube shows currently and maybe more to come. And so Dan and I also do this options trading for beginners show. Sometimes I'm on it. And I can't remember which show we talked about it. But here's the point. The Norb is live. There's documentation on it. And jump on the Discord, check it out. And before I take this off, just take a quick look. Shows. Today is Thursday. This is the only day we don't have more than one show. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 o'clock, options for beginners. We looked at some long diagonals. Poor man's covered calls yesterday. It was very exciting.
We're working on the wheel.
We're working on the wheel. We got the wheel. We got the options only wheel. Troy, how's your internet? Are you back?
I think I'm back. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. But anyway, it's one of those weird things where nothing's loaded. Who cares?
Market profile. Can you bring up?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. Can I bring market profile up? No, I can't, Dan. Okay. Still not loading. But this is what I can bring up. We released yesterday Microsoft.
Yeah, that was neat. That was neat.
We showed a trade.
Developers?
Developers. I give you another trade. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about this one for a second. So basically, we showed off a 1428 DC yesterday. We're going down a different road today and just showing kind of some different things. We're going to spend today and tomorrow looking at this and improving this trade in particular. This is just a Microsoft DC. Yesterday, we showed some different times and just didn't even save it. Just, showed it live. Well, I shared the test. This is a DC with 1,200 occurrences, right? So it's a lot of occurrences.
That is a lot of occurrences.
Sure is. Yeah.
A lot of occurrences at a 3% allocation. About to sneeze. Here it comes. Oh, I'm fighting it. I'm fighting back. I'm fighting back. Okay, I got it. This time we're adding min short-long ratio. Now, before we go down this route, Matt, all things documentation, the king of explaining things in a way people can understand. What is short-long ratio?
I don't know how else. It's one of those things where like the term is the definition. It's a ratio of the shorts or the longs. So it's the shorts divided by the longs. Like I don't know how to explain it, but if you're having trouble understanding it, here's the application, which I think is more important. If you're doing something where you're selling premium on a time spread, which is what this is. This is you're selling premium on a time spread, and you're selling premium and you're also buying premium, right? So you're short volatility, you're long the longer volatility. How do you quantify that? Well, maybe the pure, like people have asked like, hey, can we get an IV comparison between the two? That's a good idea. But what matters? Like what's the ultimate arbiter with options? It's not IV, it's price. So this is like this is bringing in Judge Dredd. So Judge Dredd looks at this and says, is my short long ratio is it high enough to where the juice is worth the squeeze?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Dan's traded. Dan, you have traded calendars. I don't want to date you, but you have traded calendars for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
when it was a different calendar system.
Before there were cars.
I love it.
In the prior millennium, at least.
Prior millennium.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's all the short long ratio is it's just you add the shorts together and you divide them by the longs. And it's a great metric. I
like this better than in a lot of ways. I honestly like this better than, people can get mystical when they start talking about the skews and the IV of the long versus the short. But I think the short long ratio just cuts through everything. And it's like going to a private school. Doesn't matter if you're poor or expensive. This might be an analogy. Everybody looks the same, right? Which is nice.
Yeah.
And here it's like, you know what? Because a lot of people will say, well, I like to do a mixed month spread. I like to buy low volatility and sell high, right? I want my short pump to my long. And I'm like, and they say, do you do that? I say, no, not that. That's not a major criteria for doing it, because again, it's like saying, what if the VIX is 20, right? Or 22, and you do a mixed month trade and your shorts are a bit higher than your longs. Well, no, there's a reason why, right? There's a positive skew, and it's much easier to get positive skews when you're 10 days or less duration than when you're 30 days less duration. But it's in other words, I think there's a whole conversation. There's a little bit of conspiracy theory that people get with these skews, but the short long ratio, I just think is the easiest to understand, and it makes sense, right? Is there juice in the premium or extrinsic value of your shorts versus your longs? And it is very easy to understand, and it's just then the whole IV skew thing. And are we contango? Are we? What's the other one? Contango,
are we in backwardation? Or
backwardation?
What's the spread? What's the relationship between the IV?
Yeah, where short long ratio just it hits home.
It cuts right through it.
Yeah. How'd you think of that one, Troy? Was who came? I mean, was just
I give all acknowledgement, I think, probably to Rusty and Matt. I mean, they
I don't know that was us. That may have been the community.
Might have been the community. I mean,
it's
a great idea.
That's a great thing for mixed month spreads. I mean,
well, it gives you when an option to make it. Our thing is everybody's trying to sell you stuff all the time. Everybody's trying to sell stuff all the time, and this indicator's the best. That indicator's the best. This is how you measure vol. That's how you measure vol. Well, short long is kind of a no BS way to do it. Basically. Yeah. It's just say like, how juiced are things right now? Now there's some other things that eventually I think we probably will do that we've been thinking through that provide color and things like that. But I mean, this is a great one just because it's very testable, and that's kind of what we do over here. So
can I tell you real quick how they did it in the pits?
Yeah.
I don't know if Tom Lee is here, but in the pits, you think, were people looking at IV skews and calendars? I'm not saying we weren't aware of them. Obviously you are. But in reality, when people were evaluating calendars, what they would do is they could care less about the individual implied volatilities. They wanted to know, okay, let's say SPX has a vol range of the last year of 14 to 23, taking out April. Well, they want the implied volatility of the spread. So in other words, if you buy a 14 volatility on your long and your short is 17, right? What's the implied volatility of the spread, right? It's going to be lower. It's going to be probably 12. So what market makers or people, they wanted to get an implied volatility of the spread. So they would have, back then they'd have trading sheets. Guys would come to the trading pit with like a stack, right? And they said, okay, you're coming in, you want to sell the calendar at this. They both have different volatilities. That's an implied volatility of 13. Is implied volatility of 13, is that cheap in SPX? It's cheap in SPX. I'll buy 100 of them, right? So they wanted to narrow the mixed month spread to one volatility, right? So what does it mean buying a 13, selling a 17? It means you're going to have an implied volatility that's cheaper. But if you but let's say VIX is 30 and you're buying a 25 volatility, selling a 30. You say, well, that's good. No, it stinks. Why? Because the implied volatility of that spread still might be 21 or 22, which could be high. So I think it's the whole skew thing, didn't mean to go off the wagon here, but I think that's why the short long ratio to me is a great what do you call it? Divide, whatever Matt used the word, but it's a great thing to unite the world of mixed months trades. As Randy Macho Man would say, it unites.
Yeah. Listen, I think I'm going to get Matt to take the test and drive with it because my data, it's the wildest thing. Literally, like I can send messages to Matt and things like that, but no internet, no like browser stuff is loading. So I'm going to let him take over the test. How is this
different than yesterday's? Is this similar in some
I'm
way?
going to show you that, but I want to get Matt.
Okay.
Matt, let me know when you're ready. We'll switch it out. Like a tag team. Like I've got my hand out. I'm waiting, injured in the tag, waiting for him to tag me.
Oh my gosh. Give me a second. I'll get it queued up.
You're fine. So let me talk about it for a second.
Okay.
So here's the deal. With the short, yesterday we didn't look at short long at all. And so for the next 2 days, we're adding short long ratio. We just explained a lot about short long ratio, but just to cap that, why do we do that? Because it gives you an edge on vol if things are more juiced than not, right? And so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen because Matt has his
already
screen.
got you.
So,
Already got you.
Perfect.
Okay.
So there we are. Nope. We clicked it at the same time. I'm unsharing. There we go. Okay. So will you save this and then model this out for me?
Sure will. I'm just gonna do that right now. And here we go.
Beautiful. So you think if you've watched OO show for any amount of time, you've seen this shape thousands of times?
A bazillion times.
Yep. But here's the whole point. Your goal with the short long is if you, Matt, click on the IV.
Yes. Here it is.
Yep. You should, what we're trying to get is, Matt, will you elevate the front month a little bit?
This is not what we want.
Right. But here's the thing. This
is what we want.
Oh, well, hold on. That's actually kind of what you want at the beginning. Right? You think about actually what you're doing with the DC. In a perfect world, you actually want the graph sometimes to not look that great. And why? You want the front month to be elevated. Now, it's never going to be, usually the same amount, right? But in theory, you want the front month, put it up to 35, Matt. Okay. You look at this, you think, that's a terrible strategy. Why would I do that? Well, here's the thing. If you put that on right now, what is going to happen over time? Like if you started with those metrics right now, what do you want to have happen over time? Okay, you start at 35.
Yep.
And now work that baby back down. Work that front month back down.
It gets greener and greener and greener and greener.
We want greener and greener and greener and greener. Dan, does that make sense? What I'm saying is like sometimes the DCs.
Yeah, and that's a great assessment. The only thing that concerns me with that is, okay, the short is coming down. To me, I'm more focused on the long. A lot of times in DC, that
so we can
long,
look at that too.
It has more Vega.
Agree.
If that long,
and
comes down, but if that stabilizes, that's why I like, in DCs to start them out, you can make an argument, especially like at a 14 by 28. If we're 14, 15, and I have a 20 delta double calendar, 14 by 28 double calendar, and you have let's say we're 14, 15 VIX or something like that, and someone says, are you concerned with the sag? I'd say none, right? Because I'm not confident, but from a probability, that's a pretty low volatility. My longs are stable, right? And that's the whole key, because the longs have more, I don't know, what would you say, the Vega of the longs versus the shorts, but it could be 2 or 3 times bigger.
For sure.
And
For
so
sure.
you have to be, it's a combination. Yes. I mean, ideally what Troy said is 100% correct. You want the pump, but when that vol of the shorts come down, you know, I'm like begging Mr. Long, don't mess with me.
Well,
right?
Well,
and that's the thing. I mean, you can really only have, it's kind of like when we talk about DCs, there's really only a couple setups. And to demystify vol, there's really only a couple setups on the vol of a time spread. Your shorts can move more than your longs. Your longs can move more than your shorts, or they can move in tandem. Right? Like are those the only three scenarios that you can have? Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's what, when we talk about the tent sagging, because you're short vol and long vol, the tent sagging is simply your longs collapsing more than your shorts. That's all it is. It's not rocket surgery.
And wouldn't it be fair to say, you know, in the world of Greeks, right? People look at there's a difference between theoretical Greeks and actual Greeks. Theoretical Greeks are assuming that one scenario that Matt said, that, okay, if the vols of the long and the shorts go up equally the same amount or go down equally the same amount. But in reality, would you say that's a minority amount of times? I would say yes, right? They don't, you know, that's what Vega is. Vega is saying if the vols of these four options go up a point exactly, it's a Mardi Gras. If the vols of each of those implied volatilities of the four options goes down a point, it's not a good day, right? You can see the Vega. But in reality, and I think, would you guys say the closer you get to expiration, the theoretical Greeks become more Disney World?
Right?
Because if you look at any trade you guys put on short term, the Theta is like 15%, 20% one day.
So let's go like 2 days out. Okay. Now this model, this is a model, right? So in the model, if we went 2 days out and nothing happened with the vol structure, we'd be in, like you said, Dan, we'd be in Disneyland.
Yeah.
What DCs really want is they want IV pumping right at the end. And that's when you get to these situations where, like 2 days out, like if we have some sort of geopolitical event, short vol goes up, but the long vol, like your profit chart just goes
crazy.
It's a rocket launch. It's a SpaceX launch that you can see in Palm Beach, Tampa, Palm Springs, California, Mexico, Texas, Tennessee, developers all over the world watching this rocket launch when a DC has the vol pump right at the end. And let me tell you something, Jack. Let me tell you something, Jack. This happened. This happened. This happened. The most recent example where it was really extreme was last April, right? Like there were things that happened last April. I had a friend who had an automated trade, and it was a short-term automated trade, and it was a time spread where you can't have movement. Like early in, you can't have movement. Like it's got to be on the last day. And he had something going, couldn't check his thing, and he's like, how'd the market do? I'm like, oh, we moved down several points. He's like, oh, my spread got killed. And he opens it up. He made 20%. Why? Because vol was in that perfect Disney World environment where even though the worst thing happened for his spread, he still did just fine. And that's where you see these indications where vols, where the spreads can just do amazing things can happen when you have a perfect storm, which is why a lot of people like DCs. The problem is people who have profit targets on their DCs or people who don't trust the backtest a lot of times never get to Valhalla. And shout out, there's a guy on OO. He's I don't think he watches the show, but he's been on for years. Great friend. And he'd post like his trade results. He'd be like 2-3 DC, 85%. And I was like, what is he doing? He was just holding and holding and holding till, that can happen. And that, like, we can have a whole discussion about the plus or minuses, because the people who do that oftentimes have very wide rails, but these are experienced traders. But the point is simply this: you can get in some of these DC environments where right at the end you have a vol ramp, and it's just not Disney World. It's Disney World with the lightning lane, fast pass, cut to the front of the line, free seat for the fireworks.
Wow.
Damien says, I'm the guy. Damien, he's
well, explain also
self-identified.
that at the end, right, Troy and Matt, at the end, by then your shorts have dissipated quite a bit. Yeah. And you're representing more of a long strangle.
That's right.
As you get towards the end, right? So it's different getting a pump and volatility at the end versus the beginning. But one thing I want to say,
different.
Don't remember this. VIX does not represent your 4 options, right? The lazy man's way is say, okay, VIX is up, my DC did good. VIX is down. Now at a 14 by 28, what if we have especially early in the trade, if we have a good move, let's say a 1.5% move down in SPX, you say, well, that's going to be wonderful for my DC. Well, in those cases, right, when we get like maybe a 1.3, 1.4 move in the SPX, sometimes you guys, what do you think? What I've noticed is that the short volatility can go up more than the long. They're putting more pressure on the short. Now, does it hurt you? No, but it doesn't. It's not like they both went up in unison and you say, well, yes. So people are looking and say, well, why didn't I get more money out of that? Because if it moves too fast, the short is going to go up by more than the long. And so, and you might break even from a volatility perspective, right? But towards the end, I think right, there's not as much premium in your shorts. So you get a little bit of pump and it's like, whoa, towards the end. But it's, again, I think it's still easier to, the short long ratio because it does get, but I think if people really want to get into the minds of calendars, monitoring, you can do this in the back test, right? Can't you put parameters at the beginning to put the IV of each of the 4 options?
No, I mean, you can't, but you can do short long ratio. That's why we use short long.
Oh, yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Well, I think short long ratio is more.
I agree.
It's the truth. Like the end of the day, what matters with your option is your options price. We have 2 comments here that I don't know if we have time to cover, but we could honestly probably spend a whole show on each of them. So I just want to highlight these. Number 1, Theta Rider, great question. % short long ratio instead of a fixed amount. Super interesting. So this is an advanced option that's not gated under advanced options, but you probably want to know what you're doing with it. And this is a way of exiting time spreads based on the change in the short long ratio. So that is a great comment. And I will throw this challenge out to the community. If you guys play around with this back test, which we will post in the Discord, and have some short long ratio percentages that you want to send in, post on the Discord, we'd love to see them. The other thing is this is, again, this probably is something we cannot cover in 5 minutes, but interested in the negative theta, positive theta change, because yes, this happens. DCs are Greek flexible to where, and all trades can do this to an extent, but people really notice it with Greek with DCs, the Greeks, where you might go, the comments mentioning negative theta versus positive theta, that happens with all the Greeks too, the deltas as well. You can go from being, depending on what move you have, you can going from being short delta, if you have a big move up right away, or long delta if you have a big move down right away. So this is something we will talk about in the future. But basically, Dan, DCs, they change their theta depending on what's going on with the trade at the time.
Well, and also, what changes the theta in DCs, and again, depends on the duration, is also, I say you can't have your cake and eat it too. In other words, when the vol's real low, I like sometimes, you can go a 20 or a 15 delta where you take a little bit more sag in the middle. Do you want the sag in the middle or do you want more room? In other words, you could do this 14 by 28. If you do a 30 delta, right, or a 32 delta, you'll get all the positive theta you want. But then you're not getting the distance to the shorts. So it's kind of, I think, you can go in the back test and kind of test it at a portfolio.
Yep.
If you're loaded with 20 delta stuff or 15 delta DCs, and your middle sagging, and you say, I'd like a little more theta, pump a 30 delta in there.
That's right.
Right. Pump a little air in the room. And that will help. I don't know. Have you guys done any of that where you diversify the?
Listen, this is the old meme. It's the Yo Dog meme. Troy, do you remember the Yo Dog meme? Yes, you do. Do you remember the famous chat? Help me out. Does anybody remember the show Pimp My Ride from MTV?
Oh, yeah.
Troy, do you remember Pimp My Ride?
That was I watched it maybe once, but it was.
Yeah. It was a cultural phenomenon along with Cribs, MTV Cribs.
Oh yeah.
So do you remember anything about it, Troy? Do you remember Exhibit?
Yeah, I remember they'd put CD players in Chrome on every car they got over and over again. And
that's right.
It's a framework. Yeah.
And so here's the thing. Dan, your original question was this. You said, do you ever do that? And here's what I have to say to you. Yo, dog, I heard you like DCs. Do you have some 5 delta DCs to hedge your DCs? Wow. And so here's the thing with Yo Dog is that I went through a time period where all I did was DCs. And what I would do is have very low delta DCs, and they can hedge against extreme movement. And then if you have very high delta DCs, those hedge against no movement, right? And that's kind of the nice thing about DCs. So here's the thing I will say about the chat. They love Pimp My Ride because since we mentioned it, we've got multiple comments, cars with aquariums, cars with a 50-inch TV, an MP3 CD player for everyone. EC Jones, what a deep cut. Because if you guys don't remember, Troy doesn't like MP3 players. There was a time where you could get a CD player that, most CD players have what? Dan, how many songs are on an album? When I say, Dan, you're going to listen to an album, how many songs are on it?
Could it be? I mean, it's been a while, but 15 maybe?
Okay. Yeah. 10 to 15. 10 to 15.
Yeah.
There was a moment when there was something called and I think this is what the chat is talking about. When you could get something called an MP3 CD player and you had to burn them in a certain way. And I'll just say this, not an expert, but this was unplanned. I still do a little CDs.
Wow.
Okay. I still do some CDs. And I'm sure there's probably an audio file. There's somebody who's going to be like, are you using FLAC or WAVE in the comments right now? Okay. Here's the point. You could encode a CD with MP3s, and instead of 15 songs, you could have 150 songs on the CD. So it was this time period before Apple took over the world with iTunes. Mr. Floss is exactly right. It was a data. You had to have a special CD player that could play this. But I had a friend who had one of these CD players, and we had a Y jack, and he'd be like, do you want to listen to Ryan Adams? I'd be like, what album do you have? And he said, yes. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, every Ryan Adams album, which at the time was like 3. But he was like, every Ryan Adams album, even the Demolition demos, are on this CD. And I was like, how does that happen? It's an MP3 CD player. And on that note, we went from, did you guys see what happened? We went from DCs to CDs in the show. And Troy's going to go destroy his router with a shotgun. He's going to get a new one. He's going to be back tomorrow. Troy, do you have any idea what we're going to do tomorrow on the show?
Take the cocaine away from you.
Listen,
that's the first part.
Here's what happens.
Second part.
Here's what happens. This is all I've imbibed today is some microplastics and some sink water.
We're gonna start getting you to stop melting some plastic water bottles for
If
your
you
breakfast in the morning.
if you like this type of show, send Troy a note on Discord and tell him. But here's what happened. Troy says, Matt sends me a message. My internet's struggling. You got to take over. Just got to tell me once.
I take responsibility for it. I mean, listen, leadership is taking responsibility. I hold myself accountable for this. I think here's the thing too, it's the double whammy, because I'm going to sit there and be like, Matt, you got to like share the space a little bit. And then, but Matt's like the cool kid, because he comes in and I'm like trying to teach a class. He comes in, he's like, hey, you guys like Pimp My Ride? Well, class over. Because now it's just like, he's the cool teacher. He's the cool guy.
Teacher, right?
Dan's
listen,
got cool
we
stories.
went pretty deep on DCs.
Listen, I love it. And I think the people love it and the people want it. And part of being a leader is swallowing your pride and understanding, like, I've got to utilize the cool guy more. This guy knows about stuff.
I got to utilize cool guy.
So I got to utilize cool guy more. And so we'll be back tomorrow with some cool guy stuff. If you think Matt's cool, you get ready to meet Rusty again.
That's right.
So anyway, you guys have a great trading day. May the market immediately go down like it did yesterday.
Yes.
And that would help me. So on that note,